In this lesson, we're going to check the accessibility of our login form. I already installed the plugin called wick-a11y. Just in case, I'm going to run the npm install again. So npm install. I have configured the plugin in the Cypress config file. Right here, I included accessibility tasks and I set them up in my setup node events callback. In the Cypress support end-to-end, I included the plugin as well. If I intend to run accessibility commands from this plugin in my component test, which I can do, I would import Wick accessibility plugin in the component support file. Okay, well, usually I would just add accessibility commands from my regular end-to-end test at different pages. But in this case, just to demo it, let's keep it separate. So we have our login form end-to-end test, and we'll add a test is accessible. Before each test, we visit the page. And now before we can check accessibility, we want to confirm that that form or page is fully rendered. And one thing we can do for this is to say, okay, login page, selectors, form should be visible, because then we know that the visit has finished rendering the initial page. All right, once we have a page, we can say check accessibility, I believe. Now the page is already there, it's pretty small, so we don't have to increase the command timeout. I think it should check accessibility within the default command timeout. I'm gonna run the dev, which starts the app and opens Cypress using Electron, and this is the login form spec. All right, well, by default, nothing is reported. Our input form is accessible. Let me go and modify the login form and make it less accessible by removing, let's say, a placeholder. Our input fields don't have labels, so that will break accessibility. Login form, let's say the username, I'll remove a placeholder. And because I'm watching the source files, it immediately runs the test. And notice right here, it actually took a screenshot and it highlights the element with accessibility problems. It's a pretty serious critical violation, so by default, you can check for critical, high, medium, and low priority items. Accessibility plugin by default runs only critical and serious violations. And it tells us that form elements must have labels, and if I hover over this log message, when it highlights the element it refers to, I can open the DevTools console, see additional information for that error, even open the information about this particular accessibility check. And I mean, this is pretty clear. One other thing I can do, because it saves a report right here in Cypress accessibility folder. Let me close Cypress and open that report. It's just static HTML report. Open Cypress accessibility report of 3212, because it saves it under a timestamp, and every time you run, it says a different report. This is the report. Notice it has all the information about the spec and the test that you executed, the basic information, and for each violation it has additional information. Form elements must have labels. You can look at the selector of that element and explanation for potential fixes. It also saves screenshots for violation, so I can see how the page looked, and that element with the violation is right here. Okay, well, that was Wick accessibility plugin. I think it's incredibly easy to add it to your Cypress project and start using it to find any possible accessibility issues.